This vest looks like carpet, but I actually made it when I lived in a cult. When I tried it on recently, I realized I've never really talked about dress codes in the IBLP cult, and I thought, why not? So that's what we're talking about today, dress codes in ATI. And this is a little intro. This is a separate intro for when I was filming, but it's all included, all inclusive little video. So let me know what you think.
If you've seen them, you know them. Long curly hair, even longer skirts, similar patterns and styles. A uniform look that exists across the spectrum of the IBLP cult. How did it happen? How do people who live around the world, on their own, in their own communities, in their own churches and towns, all look so alike? When many people think of cults, they think of people who live together. People who are under one group's authorities live day to day dictated by that authority in a commune, a compound, a city, a community. IBLP, the cult, was not like that. It was what has been called the cult in your backyard. They were your neighbors, friends at church, people in your town who followed the teachings of Bill Gothard, but were not directly working every day under Bill Gothard. Yet, they all had a very similar style and uniform and type of dressing that gives them away. You know a Gothardite when you see a Gothardite. Where does that come from? Hi, I'm Liz. I survived a childhood in IBLP, and I like to talk about it on the internet, and among other things. Something people have always noticed about ATI families is how they dressed. If you don't know what ATI is, I highly recommend the first video that I made, a deep dive into the ATI cult part 1. Did I ever make part 2? Maybe one day it's coming. I have a lot of ideas for videos on ATI, but this is just a side tangent. I was thinking about this this vest that I am rocking today. I look like a pirate. That I made when I was in the Excel cult program, which is run by ATI, and I was thinking about this vest and how it symbolized a style that generations of girls brought up in ATI wore, and how that impacted how I dressed, what I wanted to look like, my heroes, and what we were taught about our clothing. Toast to the cult. The nice thing about ATI, all of it was written down in the wisdom booklets. All of it was in the basic seminar. We have all the information about why they acted the way they acted written down and explained. There were extra things like the fact that dads had so much authority in the home, they could come up with abusive, harmful doctrine that ended up hurting their kids more, that wasn't written down in the wisdom booklets, that was just extra trauma sprinkled on top of the wisdom booklets. But thankfully, when it comes to clothing, the wisdom booklets has a great section, great as in we can see where their ideology is coming from and why everyone dressed the same. Not great as in, yay, we love it, like we agree. This is Wisdom Booklet number 15. Wisdom Booklet 15 is based on the Bible verse, "You are the light of the world, a city that is set on a hill cannot be hid." A general instruction that I heard from my mom and Mr. Gothard was that the light of the eyes is how we show off the light of the world, and therefore we want people to look at our eyes, and it all adds up why Wisdom Booklet 15 has all the clothing instructions, because it was about the light of our eyes, which you will understand in a moment. Bear with me. So this is so interesting because this is in their medical section. Wear a smile. This is something that I have noticed happens in a lot of emotionally abusive groups that a lot of people gloss over. When someone is unhappy, depressed, anxious, upset, to constantly be told, you should smile, you should be happy. It's not appropriate to have these sad emotions. We're in a safe environment. You should be happy and smile. That is abusive, and that is something that I was constantly told growing up. And it is not something that is just told in ATI and IBLP. It is, many people can accidentally fall into enforcing a no sadness rule and encouraging people to always be happy. Be careful of that, because telling people to not listen to their emotions is dangerous. And that is a tactic that abusers use, and it is a tactic that ATI used. So ATI taught that, we can read it together, I suppose. Your face reveals your inner attitudes, your needs, your joys, your struggles, and your victories. A cheerful countenance provides a ministry of encouragement. Apart from your actual words, your countenance can be the most effective means you have to express the love of the Lord Jesus Christ to others around you. My face was my most valuable asset. Whenever I was out in public, My parents wanted us to always appear happy so that people would want to live like us because we were obviously happy. Now, I actually happen to be, like, most of the time a very cheerful, joyful person, but there were days, especially as a teenager, when I was very deeply unhappy. I was constantly told, hey, smile. Hey, why are you unhappy? Like, God wants you to be happy right now. And it was constantly used as a bullying tool to enforce a rigid standard of appearance that was not true to the actual emotions that were happening in my life. Why is something so nice, so simple as color palettes also in this list? It's so sad to see it's so frustrating to see genuinely good things like understanding what colors go best with your skin tone be used as indoctrination. And wearing the wrong color became a mistake. Instead of just trying on clothes and saying, oh, I look better in something else, it was, you're failing because you're wearing the wrong clothing, if that makes sense. And it's just the way IBLP like made everything a failure or a success. There was no like room to just be a normal average human in IBLP. This is such a freaking trip because the next point is wear a hairstyle that complements your face. And it's so funny to me that the wisdom booklet had a whole, here's the different kinds of faces, here are the different kinds of hairstyles that fit, but anybody who didn't have long curly hair was not the ideal. Bill Gothard singled out girls with really long curly hair and groomed them. So it's kind of funky that the wisdom booklet was like, wear a hairstyle that complements your face. Whereas all of us were judged if we didn't have the Gothard hair look. And if you look at all of the Duggars, all the Bates, like everyone who is big in ATI, they all have the same hairstyle no matter their face shape, because that is what Bill personally wanted on the girls that he surrounded himself with. That's a little rant. I think this point is not something that, and you should wear hair that you freaking like, but that is not what ATI allowed. And then point number 4, wear special accents near your face. So scarves, jewelry, and if you look at ATI IBLP people, they do wear a lot of accessories and they really think it highlights your face. But if you can't wear too many, you can't wear like a pattern thing and then a scarf, because that's like drawing attention to the clothing. It has to be subtle, it has to bring attention upwards. And also, a lot of ATI girls don't have their ears pierced until they're married, because many people I knew, including my dad and my friends' dads, all told us you have to ask your husband's permission to pierce your ears because your body will belong to him when you're married. He might not like having holes in your body. And I want to barf. Ugh, so gross. Number 5 is wear clothing that fits properly, but it's also cracking me up because if you look at ATI girls, their clothing is so frumpy. It's so like, only guys get to wear clothing that fits properly, and even their illustrations that they have for wear clothing that fits properly is male clothing. Women just have to be frumpy. I'm sorry. Number 6, our very favorite, and I don't know if it's in this wisdom booklet, but I'll have the chart, is avoid eye traps. No, boys don't have to avoid eye traps. Only girls have to avoid eye traps. Eye traps are anything that draw attention to your body over your face, which is also why they dress so frumpy, is they're trying not to draw attention to their body. In his avoiding eye traps, he lists some points. He says the eyes are attracted to skin. Okay. So bare legs, low necklines, sleeveless. That means the eyes will be attracted away from your face to that, which is literally not something I have ever experienced. Eyes are attracted to teasing. So if you have like a high neckline, but it's sheer, like from here on up, that's distracting. So you can't wear anything too sheer, like in the back or at the bottom. Like the fabric must be consistent throughout. It can't draw attention to itself over your face. And it's just like policing your clothes. Eyes are attracted to fads, so avoid garish clothes or stylish things. Bill Gothard really believed in I guess he still does because he's still alive. He really thinks that there should be a universal standard that like girls need to dress the same from the 1960s now, and if you like follow fads or current trends, that it draws attention away to your face and your beautiful eyes. So anyway. Eyes are attracted to accessories and excesses. So cosmetics should be light and natural. Your accessories should be small and dainty and not be annoying. Now, all of these things they could be good in moderation, I suppose. Because, you know, I work in TV news. On TV news, I don't have to be on camera, but if you're on camera, you dress in bold colors, you wear small accessories, you have stylish hair, then your makeup should be light and natural. But that's for a job. But ATI treats every day as your job. You're not just dressing this way because you're being paid to go on camera. You're dressing this way because if you don't, you're failing Jesus. And there's an entirely different kind of connotation with I'm failing Jesus because people can't see my eyes and are not drawn to my face versus, hey, I am on camera. Let's look at my face instead of like my clothes or my hair or whatever. And that is why it's so toxic, because if you're failing Jesus, then you are failing your community, you're failing the cult, and you are failing as a human, and you carry that weight of failure and all of that. And then number 7 is to practice personal discipline of neatness, cleanliness, exercise, and weight control. So as you can imagine, ATI was incredibly fat phobic. They treated people who were overweight terribly, and they just were super rude. Very fat phobic, and treated fat people as personally failing Jesus by just having a different size body. And that was horrible and created lasting emotional damage, and also led to people like my mom, who was fat, ended up using extreme dieting for both her and her children. And it led to me being extremely malnourished, which is why this vest that I made when I was 16 you do grow from like 16 to your mid-20s, but I made this and it is so tiny, it looks like it would fit a 13-year-old. And it's really sad because I was extremely malnourished because my mom was terrified of any of her children gaining weight, and so intentionally used extensive dieting to prevent us from gaining weight, but instead it just kept us malnourished because we were growing kids and we needed food. But that is another rant for another day, I suppose. We're missing point number 8, which is stand tall. They had like a whole thing on posture. They were super strict on posture. My mom used to insert a yardstick between, like, I have to hold the yardstick, like put it right here, around behind my back, to teach me to like sit up straight. So I'd be doing homework and she'd be like, oh, you're not sitting straight. And she'd insert the yardstick and I would have to hold it right there and like do my homework like this, I suppose. I'm not even sure how I did that. Like looking back on that was extremely hard. But I did it. And then number 9 is match your choice of clothing to your activity. ATI did not, their definition of casual was much more dressed up than the average person. If you look at ATI guys who are like doing yard work or anything casual, they are dressed up very, very nice, because Bill Gothard did not approve of people dressing casual.
Had to pause here, not very fancy audio, but just wanted to tell the story really quick. When I say Bill Gothard did not approve of dressing casually, the joke was at headquarters where ATI was based, that he always wore a suit. And one time he was invited to go water skiing, and the people who invited him jokingly said, will you wear a suit? And he shrugged and then showed up to water ski in a suit. So that is the story of Mr. Gothard's idea of dressing casually to go water skiing.
Oh, and it does have it in this wisdom booklet, the eye traps picture. So let's go through the eye traps really fast. So number 1, what's the first eye trap? Well, we have these sheer patterns on the neck and arms, and that's considered bad, I guess. Number 2, I think it's the necklace. Oh yeah, the necklace is plunging, so that would draw attention away from your face down your chest. So that's why it's bad. Number 3, I honestly have no idea, but I'm assuming it's like fats. I don't know. She looks really modest to me, but apparently my opinion doesn't matter. Number 4 is the split in the skirt. No splits in skirts. Number 5 is the big bow. That is the problem. And number 6 is the fact that we have a white collar and a dark dress, I think. Or maybe number 6 is not an eye trap. It's hard. These things are so ridiculous and so like minute. Like, I don't even. Oh, and the final point is say the right things with your eyes. And then they have a picture of 6 people, and the one person they signal out as not saying the right thing is the African American person in the picture. Everybody else has a good countenance and is not shifty or untrustworthy, except for the African American person in this chart. So that is the ATI dress code. Basically, how they wanted all of us to look the same. There was a lot of judgment of people who didn't maintain the dress code throughout their entire year in everyday circumstances, and there was definitely categorization of like higher ranking ATI families always dress this way, lower ranking people would dress this way at ATI events and maybe not every day in their life. My family was not high ranked in ATI. As I mentioned, they were extremely fat phobic, and my mom never felt that she was respected by ATI people. And she thought it was because she must have like hidden sin or something, but it was also because of the fat, like it was definitely fat phobia. And also their kids were adopted, and ATI teaches that adoption is a negative thing. So there was a lot of judgment of our family, even though we were very strict ATI people. Anyway, that's my little rant. And I hope you liked this video. I haven't even drafted part 2 of my ATI series. So this was just like a little side tangent that I can go on and then maybe get me back in the mood to draft part 2. And I think I did start drafting it. I haven't looked at it since I started like a year ago. So I need to go back and see what I wrote so I can finish writing it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out my Patreon and my Instagram, because both those places are a great way to join my community and suggest video topics that you're interested in. And I will see you here next time. See ya.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.